If you're passionate about water sports, fishing, boating, surfing, supping, and you're looking for a watch that can keep up with you and track some of those fitness activities, the Garmin Quatix 7 might be the one for you. I've been living with this watch for 1 year. You can check out my other video here. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into what I've learned, the major features I get from this watch, and how it's holding up after 1 year. Welcome back to the Rudder. My name's Damian, Wearable at Antoinette, our Mary Fisher 895. We're at Tippler's Passage. We've just pulled in for a nice evening here. It's blowing a bit, but hopefully that calms down. And I just wanted to catch up with you on the Garmin Quatix 7. So this is a fantastic watch. As I said, I've had it for a year. It is my daily wear watch, pretty much on every day, doing an activity nearly every day, or even a couple times a day. This morning I did a walk and then went for a surf, and now we're out boating. So it's been on my wrist an awful lot, and it has held up really well. If you have a look here, all I've done, I haven't really cleaned it today. All I did was sort of rub it off with a towel. So the screen is flawless. As I said, I keep it on most of the time. If I am doing some hard manual labor, I try and take it off, but sometimes forget. But pretty much you can see the screen is untouched, absolutely perfect. And you can see the touch screen here is just as responsive as it was when I first got it. Having a look on the back, the watch band has a little bit of markage, but you can see the quick release, quick fit works perfectly. I was going to probably change the band a little bit more than I have. I've ended up pretty much keeping this blue band on that came with the watch the whole time, and it's great, holds up really well, and I'm using it for surfing and all the water sports as well as going to work. So I think it works really well both as a dress watch, looks good in a suit, also out surfing and doing whatever you need to do. And having a look at the back, you do need to sometimes, I've probably done it once, twice in the year, is clean off those battery terminals. Probably that's the one thing with Garmin that I wish they'd solve, is some better battery terminals than that. But you can see everything else is flawless, which is pretty amazing considering the bashing I give this thing. It's quite, I think it's held up really well, and as I said, it's responsive as the battery has been consistent across the whole year. It is still lasting pretty much a week. I had charged this up last night, then I went and played some tennis. I've gone for a walk this morning as well as a surf, and we've just come out on the boat. So I've run 3 activities since I charged it up. It's still got 5 days, 84% battery after doing 3 activities. Quite impressive with that. And that has been true for pretty much the whole time I've had the watch. Probably, unless I do some really big GPS activities, I'm probably getting a week of wear out of the watch. And even once it does go to a battery saver mode, it starts really carrying on when you've got about 24 hours left on the battery. It really is 24 hours left on the battery. If it goes and tells you that, you could wear it the whole day, get home, put it on overnight, not a problem. If you are worried about it, you can put it into battery saver mode, which dims the screen, takes off a few of the activities, doesn't do GPS, and it'll last another 3 days after that. Very good. I'm very impressed with the battery life, and I haven't seen any big changes in the battery life the whole time I've had this watch. While we're talking about battery, that pretty much brings us on to the activities. So the activities you use will determine the battery life. If you don't do any activities, I'm not sure what the battery life is, but it will be longer than a week. And the activities you use will also affect the battery. So if you're doing heavy GPS activities, surfing, walking, running, pretty much anything outside, boating, obviously getting GPS data takes it out of the watch. If you then go and add, say, using Spotify on your watch and playing that through Bluetooth whilst also using GPS, you're going to take a battery hit. Now, that's fine. I mean, you've got a 6 or 7 day battery life. Going for a big activity like that, it's just going to decrease it by maybe a day or two if you do that once or twice through the week. Not too bad. Now, the activities I've used the most have to be surfing, which are, once or twice a week, walking with the puppies pretty much every day, indoor biking, which has worked really well. I just use the heart rate monitor on this and just on my wrist, and I can get a heart rate from it. I don't need the chest strap, and that works very well. I've also done cardio and boxing with that. You can just track your heart rate to get a good balance on what that activity is doing. Another set of activities that you might really be interested in if you are looking at this watch as opposed to the rest of the Garmin range is its boating facilities. So with our new boat, Harry Highfield, and check out that video up here, we've started using the boating app quite a lot. So with boating, it's pretty much made for sailing, but it gives you a speed over ground from GPS. With that little tender, we don't have any GPS or anything in it, and if we're in our canals, we need to be under 6 knots, and we also need to be under 6 knots within any marina. So having a boating activity with speed over ground can let us know just how fast we're going. So if you need to fish or troll and you want to really know your speed over ground, you can set up the boating activity, or there is a fishing activity, set that up and you get that speed. You can also connect this with your other Garmin devices. If you have a look at the comments in the first video, a lot of people get the Garmin trolling motor, put that on their boat. You can control Garmin equipment with this watch. So one of the major features of this is you can connect it to other Garmin devices. So here we go, we're connecting to boat data, and that connects to my Garmin waypoint finder and depth finder. And there you go, we're sitting, 0.4, that's pretty shallow. We must be just floating over something, the tide's coming out. And obviously we're not moving anywhere, but you get your bearing, your ETA and distance to next turn. And you can set up all these fields to what you want precisely. If you were sailing, I could imagine this being very handy for point to point, getting your speed over ground and how long it takes you to each. And if you had wind apparatus connected to your Garmin, you can get that data through your watch. Talking of data and controlling things, you also have Fusion Link. I'm sure a lot of you have Fusion stereos on your boat. The Fusion Link is fantastic. It connects straight to the Fusion stereo. If you're sitting out the back, want to skip a song, want to turn the volume up, it's all connected with your watch. Use that quite a bit. So they're my main features that I've really used a lot with this watch. It obviously does a lot more, depending on what, they're ultimately adaptable. I think something else that you need to just check out is the amount of data that you can get at your fingertips. And if you're boating, the things that we really need to know about, like the weather, what's the weather going to be doing? You can get sunrise, sunset times. You can actually set that up so it's on your watch face. So here's my watch face, and you can see it there. It's setting at 5:32 this afternoon. You will notice, if you're keen-eyed, I've kept the same watch face pretty much since I set up this watch. I tried a few other ones, and this was the one. It had all the data that I needed. It's a high of 22 degrees, a low of 18. It's getting a bit cooler here. The date, I've got another time, steps, altitude, my heart rate, and the sunset, sunrise time. And you can go through and set up everything just as you need. Also on that, you can get your tide times. To get the tides, you do need to have your watch connected to your phone by Bluetooth to, so it can connect that data. Talking of your phone, I use an Android. You can get smart notifications. Probably one of the most useful facets of the watch. I know this is common across a lot of watches, so it's not a specialty to this particular watch, not a specialty to Garmin. But smart notifications really change how you use your phone. This is on silent the whole time. If a phone call comes in, a message comes in, an alarm goes off, it's through my watch. So 9 times out of 10, it's on my wrist. It is a little bit annoying if you have that and your watch is charging and you miss phone calls, but very handy. Also, you've got Garmin Pay on here. So if you're out running or you don't have your phone with you or your wallet, you can set up your credit cards so you can pay with your watch. Extremely handy to get you out of a tight bind, or just to use all the time so you don't have to fuddle around with things. And with the touch screen, it's a little bit different to my old Phoenix. You don't have to use the buttons, you can just touch the screen to move around with everything. One thing to note with Garmin Pay is that will disable during an activity. So if you're going for a run, you will have to stop your run if you want to buy a coffee or something like that. But you should finish your run completely first before you go get coffee and food. So another thing with the activities is most of the time it's set up so it disables the touch screen. That's a feature, so when you're doing whatever you need to do, it's not flipping around screens like in the water with your wetsuit. It'll actually sometimes pretend like it's a touch. And if you're running, you don't want to be swiping around on things, and it just goes to the buttons. You can turn the touch on while you're exercising, but I don't really think it's useful. Been a lot of questions in the last video, thanks for that. One of the ones was, is there a solar version of this watch? Yes, there is. It's a little bit bigger. It's a 51mm watch face. I don't find the solar that useful. My wife Brooke had a solar Phoenix, and it really didn't add much to the battery life. Maybe a day, but it's really hard to know. You sort of, once it gets a bit low, you're charging it up anyway. If you want a bigger watch face, maybe that's something you want. Or if you're going away, do ultra marathons or those sorts of things, solar might be for you, or out fishing. But that was one of the questions. There's been a few others with how it connects to the various devices. As you can probably tell, I'm pretty impressed with this watch. I think it stood the test of time really well for the amount of abuse I give it. It's working exceptionally well. I'm going to keep, I don't see any need to upgrade or do anything at the minute. I'm just going to keep on with it. I love it. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed that video and hope to see you out boating, and we'll see you next time on the Rudder.